Welcome to Order Militaris Radio TV. We here are lifelong Catholics, and what we do here is all for free. In the love of Jesus Christ, the most holy Trinity, His holy Church, and will defend our Holy Mother, the Church. Our work is a true sense of apostolate. Any funds raised goes back into this work for equipment. This helps us to give you an unbiased, hard-hitting truth that is not controlled by political correctness or interest groups. Today's program is on Christian politics and how the Catholic Party for America would handle what we saw this weekend in D.C., where the pro American rally was met with violence by the Marxist Bolshevik terrorists known as Antifa and Black Lives Matter. So, how would it look like? Well, let me get to the website here and begin to show you. So, I'm going to show you this Old West poster used to bring law and order to Wild West towns. It says, warning, firearms are forbidden within the city limits by order of the sheriff. Miscreants will be prosecuted. What does that mean? Means we will make mandatory what Mayor Rudy Giuliani started in New York and make it a nationwide policy of stop and frisk. And then with all that stop and frisk hitting those illegal guns off the person, begin implementing something even more bigger. Learning where all these illegal weapons are coming from, who's doing it, where they're being sold out of, and stopping the actual flow. So far, so good, right? All common sense things that any administration could do and should have done since whenever they wanted to. When street crime started to happen on the streets of the United States, then we see the violence of the Antifa, Black Lives Matter terrorists sucker punching people from the back, knocking them out, stealing their phones, stealing the American flag and the flagpole, and sharpening the end as a spear. Now, I shared on Twitter, was it? I believe 2 days ago, talking about a reformed Second Amendment policy. What would that look like? It would be mandated so that no rights of self-defense would be taken away by any governor or local deal. Because every lawful American citizen has the right from God for self-defense. And so, you'd be able to carry in your state and other states. I think they were trying to work on this as a piece of legislation, nationwide carry act. But we would develop it even further, where if you personally are being attacked, or if you see your loved ones being attacked physically and it needs to be dealt with severely by using your sidearm, or if you see an innocent bystander being attacked ruthlessly, like they were in DC, you would have the right to defend that person and the people around you from those terrorists by using your constitutional right to carry and own a firearm. But then we would go even further on the police, because the first line of defense is you. Because we have that Second Amendment. Then we go to the police. And it was awful how they just stood by and allowed it to happen. Did nothing. You have police being attacked, assaulted, shot, stabbed, ran over in other cities by this new Bolshevik terrorist organization. It is time to reform the police, not diversity training, not to make them more politically correct, but to make them more unpolitically correct. The police have forgotten how they handled these scum of the earth back in the days of Jesse James, Billy the Kid, and all the other outlaws. Or when cattle drives came to town and the cowboys got way too drunk and started to destroy the town. It is time for the police to remember their history of policing. And we want them to protect the liberties of the citizens. Do not harass them when they go to church. Not to enforce this corona hoax mandates by the governors that are unconstitutional. But when it comes to dealing with the new Bolshevik terrorists of Antifa and Black Lives Matter, I want the police need to be strong, fearless, downright cold, and mean. And if and when they are faced with violence against their person, their partner, and the threat of losing their own life, The police will be allowed to use their service weapons to put down that threat. But if it looks like there's a chance that could be resolved peacefully by talking them down, and getting them to surrender, do that method. Or if it needs a little head busting with the nightstick, knock them out and drag them off to jail, let them sleep it off, and have a few days in jail. That's another way of doing it. Plus all the other non-lethal methods of the the stun guns and everything else. But it's time for the police to be unleashed and do what they do best. It is time for the police to be able to do their job and defend their cities, their neighborhoods, and the citizens. It is time for the citizens to get behind and defend the police who are being made out to look like bad guys thanks to the fake news mainstream media. And all the communist supporters in the Congress, the Senate, and there should be some sort of law that a citizen can use their pistol to defend the police when he needs extra backup. I've read about cases like that in Texas where they've done that. It should be able to happen in all 50 states. Because the police are totally under attack by this new Bolshevik terrorist organizations. Same can go with other street gangs and drug dealers. I haven't seen or looked at the numbers lately about Chicago, but that place is just a mess. When you have more violence, more shootings, and more deaths than all of the war in Afghanistan, that is never good. And the liberal city councilors, the mayor, the governor of Illinois does nothing to stop the bloodshed. They're all too worried about enforcing radical tyranny on the citizens about COVID 19 than stopping the gang violence, innocent children being shot in their houses by drive-by shootings or shootings on the way to school, on the way to church, and elsewhere. That is where that nationwide stop and frisk and ban of illegal weapons into cities would come into play. All all lawful citizens, law-abiding citizens, can own and carry a firearm. But those who are criminals cannot carry a firearm and should not be able to have a firearm in the city. That stop and frisk idea of Mayor Giuliani should be enforced in all 50 states. Then, through that stop and frisk and getting the illegal weapons off the streets, again, use it to backtrack and find where those weapons are coming from. Get those weapons off the streets. Get those sellers off the streets. And once you get the weapons off the streets and all the sellers off the streets, plus the big bad criminal organizations off the streets, peace will be restored. So if those who've read the Catholic Party for America blog, you've seen our pages already and read what we wrote so far about gangs and drug dealer policies. You may not agree with it, but drug dealers and drug crimes are not crimes that are not violent. They are very much violent crimes. Excuse me. It goes again with the illegal gun sales to defend their drugs, defend their stashes, defend the routes that they get the drugs from the cartels. Sometimes they are more well armed than a military because they have to protect the stuff they have to push on the streets, which then kills innocent American citizens, which ruins the communities that are Hispanic, African American, and other communities. So, what do we propose to do to stop this? We still call for the Navy, the Coast Guard, ICE, DEA to continue to do what they do in taking the drugs off the streets, off the water. Doing that and all their import work they're doing. But we gotta go into these communities, restore the trust that has been taken from the people there, the migrant communities, because they've been taught and told over and over again never to trust the police, do not go to the police, go to your local gangs and they'll handle it. We got to get into their minds and reprogram them to think properly and understand that the police are there to help you, are there to protect you, that you are also to protect yourself, not depend upon these drug pushers, drug pins, cartels for anything, as they are the ones destroying your communities. So we push that type of rebuild the neighborhood, rebuild the communities program. And we would also make sure then we would go after the small fishes of the drug cartels in those neighborhoods, begin to get the information needed to find the source on how to get into these neighborhoods and shut it off completely. So you have our ways of dealing with Antifa and those Bolshevik terrorists, on how to stop the street gangs in Chicago and elsewhere, and a little bit on how to stop the drug cartels in these communities as well. Don't want to give you everything because they also watch these programs to learn about any new administrations, parties, campaigns, to learn what they're doing. So again, we just give you just that little bit. You can read more at the blog. Because it is time to take these streets back from those who want to destroy these migrant communities of law abiding citizens. Make them depend on the drug pushers to make money for their families and be enslaved by these drug pushers. That is what it is, a form of slavery. Same with the MS-13 gangs in El Salvador who come up into these communities and put the people there basically under a form of slavery where you can't do anything to stop it. You have to do and obey. But it's time to take back those cities, those communities, to end this new form of slavery. Slavery to the drug cartels, and slavery to these criminal organizations, ruining these communities, ruining these families. It is time to get tough. It is time for the police to learn the truth about Wyatt Earp, because he was a very good, honest law officer. I have his autobiography in the gangs and drug dealer policy page. It's well worth the read. It's very entertaining, and you in the law enforcement communities, you'll love it. He only had to use his gun a few times. Most of those times were in Arizona and Tombstone and doing those raid posses to get those who murdered his brother and murdered one of his brothers and injured his other brother. Most of the time he talked down the bad guys and got them to surrender peacefully, or if he had to, use the butt of his pistol and knocked him out. That is how he dealt with the crime gangs back in his days in Wichita, Dodge City. So I'm gonna leave you with that. That was today's show. Please tune in tomorrow. I believe we'll be doing, might be Sutton, might be let me check real quick for you. Let's see here. Oh yeah, we'll be doing a program on who is Jorge Mario Bergoglio. Is he a CIA operative and a murderer? That will be our show on Wednesday. Do not miss it. We found some really interesting stuff there. So it's going to blow your mind. So please stay tuned. And this is Order Militaris Radio TV signing off. Deus Vult.